Awesome. So thank you all for tuning in. We're just going to wait for a few more people. Hey, Cece. Fucking silence. Hey, Farah. Awesome. Okay, so we don't want to take up too much of your time, so we can go ahead and jump in with introductions. Jared, do you want to take it?
Sure. Welcome everyone to our Facebook live chat. I'm Jared Schamberger and I am joined by Teshonne Powell, and we are two of the current producing playwrights of The Welders. In case you are meeting us for the first time, The Welders is a playwrights collective based in Washington, D.C., in which a group of playwrights come together and professionally produce each other's plays and projects. Our mission is to give playwrights agency and ownership over the production process of their work so that they are free to tell the stories that they want to tell the way they want to tell them. In a few years, our cohort will pass on the organization to a new group of playwrights who will have the chance to do the same.
So we're here today because we are the first playwrights in our cohort, Welders 3.0, who will be producing work under the Welders next year in 2021. So we just wanted to take some time to check in with each other as co-producing playwrights and with you all, and just talk about where we are in our processes and about our work. We also wanted for this to be a chance for anyone to ask us questions about our work. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the Facebook comments below, and we can answer them after we have our little chat. And just to note that this event is one of the many different virtual things that we're doing for our end of year giving campaign, in which we are trying to encourage at least 121 donors to make a donation to the Welders this month. So we've also included a link, it's pinned to the comments to our giving page if you feel inclined to give today. And thank you for anyone who is considering making a donation to the Welders today.
So, Teshonne, this has been a crazy year, to say the least. So how are you feeling and how have you been doing?
Yeah, I am feeling feelings. This, like you said, this has been a roller coaster of a year for sure. I think though, I'm looking forward to 2021. So I think I'm feeling hopeful most of all right now about my work in particular. Of course, there's a whole bunch of things going on in family and life and work and home. But I think, like most people, I am taking it all in stride, as much as I can. So yeah, how about you?
Yeah, same. It's a busy time of year. I'm also feeling extremely fortunate to still have my full-time job, to be able to work from home and sort of stay safe in that way. And yeah, very optimistic about next year. I think there's a general readiness for 2021 that we're all feeling, and I share in that for sure.
Right. So I know you've talked a little bit about your show back in when we did the Weld virtual event in October. But just for the sake of if there's any new visitors to this live session right now, can you talk a little bit about the B word and what's it about, and and just all the sub projects within that greater project that you have going on right now?
Sure. So the B Word is the name of my show, and it really centers Black gay men and their relationships and experiences with the concept of beauty. And It's also a solo act. It feels like a bit of a misnomer to call it that because of all of the different people who have contributed to the project already.
Yeah.
But back in the fall of 2019, I was able to sit down and film interviews with a number of Black gay men and really talk to them about their experience of their own Blackness, their sexuality, and of course, their relationship to beauty, and also their connections and feelings about community. And so that's sort of what I've done so far. And I've been, stringing all of that together into what will become a solo performance, like I said, where I will be sort of connecting all the pieces of those filmed interviews together. And you'll actually see some of the filmed interview footage in the performance. So I'm very excited about that. And that will be happening in July of 2021.
Cool. Yeah, I, mine is, that is very interesting. I've always, I'm just prefacing it with the fact that I've always found when you were talking about your project, like, I don't know, like over a year ago now, my gosh, that just very excited about the concept of documentary theater and how, real stories will inform your storytelling, and how other people's stories kind of are woven into your own story and your own narrative. And so I'm really excited to see that. My show is it started out as a little bit more of a traditional narrative play. It's called Girls' Night with Spirits. And it was supposed to be a ghost story of sorts. A story about a young Black woman, a millennial, Black woman who moves into a house that she finds is haunted. And an eccentric, mysterious woman, or let's say an eccentric woman with mysterious motive, comes to her house and offers to help her get rid of the ghost. And so I thought it would be something really great to premiere in October. It was, of course, as you know, previously scheduled to premiere this October, but we're gonna move it to next October or next fall. And really what I wanted to get to the heart of that play is just themes of mental health and wellness, themes of what does it mean to find your purpose? What does it look like when someone has lost sight of their purpose and who they are, and how can they get that back, to then really self-actualize who they are and who they want to be. And so, yeah, so it's not happening this year, obviously, but it will happen next year, okay? So.
Absolutely. So as you've mentioned, both of our shows were supposed to happen this year, and had, everything that has happened not happened. We would sort of be, helping the third person produce their show right now, and we would sort of be relaxing after our shows that had already happened. So how has the process of mounting this been going for you? Have you faced any challenges? Have there been any changes, any major revelations or anything that you've had this year?
Yeah, I think for me, it wasn't so much of production, because production had that, we couldn't do anything production wise. And so what I did this year was I just took the time to, I guess, take a look at the script. And at first I was going along the process of just a traditional revision, and starting to maybe seek a traditional dramaturge process. I think honestly, the events of this year, how I reacted to them emotionally, how the world has reacted to the events emotionally, kind of informed significant plot changes that kept tugging at me. So I would be reading, draft 3 or something, and I'm like, oh, I should talk about I should do this, I should do that. So previously, the ghost was its own kind of character with its own story. And the more and more I thought about it, the more and more I thought about my own mental health journey, my own emotional well-being during this time of stress and challenge and social disruption, that I was like, man, this ghost is turning more and more, or the spirit is turning more and more into a metaphor for the protagonist's emotional journey and the protagonist's fears and doubts and all of those things. So because of that, I had to like really do some major reworking of plot points, which I've been working on as well. And as far as mounting it, so in preparation for mounting the play, I'm sure if if you all, watching, if you work in theater, you know that there's been conversation about, is it even possible to produce live theater next year? And so what I had to come to terms with for my show, and also for us as a cohort, that I didn't want to take chances. We did lose an opportunity this year due to circumstances that were beyond our control. But next year, I was like, I don't want to take chances with trying to mount something live and then not having that come through again. So I decided to make this play into a radio play. I would love to have it broadcast on live radio. So now, not only have I been working on the plot, the meat of it, I've been also trying to work it into a format that I'm learning for the first time as well, which is the radio play format. And so I also want to do some other things with audio play and just really capture the essence of what this play is, which is spooky, which is funny, which is kind of scary, but which is, really deep and powerful perhaps, through audio, through people just being able to kind of close their eyes and listen to what's happening. So I think that's the route I'm going on. How about you, Jared?
Well, first, I think that's awesome. I'm super excited about that. It's been really great to really see the evolution of your show and your project, and now hearing about this, I'm very excited. I love a good radio play. Yeah, similarly, this year definitely threw all of us some curveballs, and I think I've really been able to take an opportunity and recraft the show a bit, because the idea of community is such a central theme in my piece. This time of sort of social isolation has definitely influenced how I've sort of reshaped things, and what does it mean to be in community when you can't share space? How does the significance of community change when you can't share space? All of those kinds of things. So yeah, lots and lots of rewriting. Also similarly, because my show is scheduled to be mounted in July, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like we'll be able to gather in space in July of next year either. So I think I'm doing sort of also a new thing, a play film hybrid kind of thing, where things will be filmed, but they'll be filmed in the theater. So it'll also be intercut with more documentary sort of footage, as you said, not just the interview clips, but I think you'll also get a little peek into the process of creating the show while the show is happening. So lots of interesting things coming there as well.
I think that's awesome because your piece is documentary theater, and because you have so much footage to kind of work in, it does in a sense seem hybrid in spirit and nature. So I think it'll still work. I don't think that I don't see you skipping a beat, because you can't do a full live thing. Like I really feel like it's gonna work beautifully. So yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I hope so. You'll be there to help me make it happen. So I appreciate that.
That's what I'm here for. So going back to just the themes of your piece, and I know you touched on this a little bit at the Weld, but what is it that you're hoping to, like, as you continue to produce and work on it, as you continue to sift through the footage and the interviews and all of that, as you continue to draft and tighten your scripts, what is it that you want people to take away from your project?
My show centers Black gay men, for sure, and their relationship to beauty, but what I know is that how we look, while it may seem very superficial and sort of can be dismissed as superficial, is also intrinsically very personal to each of us. And I don't know a single person who at some point in their life didn't have feelings about, you know, their weight or their skin or their hair or something, right? And I think that this piece, what I hope that people get from this piece is that really loving yourself isn't a thing that you have to learn to do. It's a thing that you have to return to doing. I think that the world sort of tells us that we're somehow not enough in the way we look or who we love or how we live. And what we really have to do is sort of get back to a place where we just do that, because there was a time when all of those things weren't a thing, right? When we just loved ourselves, accepted ourselves, and valued ourselves. And so I hope that everyone walks away, if not completely 100% there, at least believing that that is possible for themselves. What about you?
That's beautiful. I think for me, I want Black women specifically to feel centered in a narrative about mental health and mental wellness. I think, and I want, you know, a story where we're talking about these issues destigmatized. And so I think we actually started a great conversation with JR and Cece not too long ago. JR, Russ, and Cece Reed, our other welders cohort, welders producing playwrights, they're actually really helping us in strategizing what really good, strong, intentional community engagement looks like around our shows. So we're also building out some events for next year as well. But in talking to them recently in a meeting, I was just thinking that it's important to have a space to be able to process what I intend to bring up in this play. There is going to be talk about, you know, shame, about guilt, about fear, and really wanting to explore what is at stake if we don't address those things. I've also been reading about the concept of shadow work, the concept that we tend to, on many different levels, tend to hide away things about us or about ourselves that we are ashamed about. And what is that, and what can happen to us long-term or short-term if we don't fully accept all of who we are and reckon with the darker parts of ourselves, or the parts of ourselves that we don't necessarily, that we may be afraid of other people to see. And so in this play, quite literally, the spirit in the house is draining this protagonist. And the protagonist has to reckon with, if I don't address this problem, like this is life or death right now. So, you know, trying to explore those themes of like, what do I need to do as an individual to get right with myself so that I can then be the best person I can be for myself and for the world and live my purpose. So I know that's a lot.
But it's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, and then also too, as if you know me, you know that I love horror. I love the, you know, speculative genre, sci-fi, all of that. And so for me to have a horror-centric story or a speculative story with Black characters is important. I want to contribute to that. We see a lot of that now in our pop culture. It was not always so. And so I want I want people to be able to explore really awesome, amazing, speculative and horror elements. You know, I want them to see the ghosts and the vampires and the, you know, and the magic and all of these things, but with wonderful Black characters and well thought out Black characters. So I'm excited about that as well. And I'm gonna do a plug. I always do this plug every time I talk about my play, but if you haven't already, check out Horror Noir. It's hard for me to pronounce ours because I'm from Providence, Rhode Island, but Horror Noir is a film documentary that traces the history of Black people in the horror genre in film and television. It's excellent. It really gives some insight and context to our relationship to the genre, which I don't think really has been explored in depth before. So check it out. It's on Amazon Prime and on Shudder. But so that's enough of me rambling.
No, I love it. I love it. I can listen to you talk about your show all day. I think it's great. I'm super excited about it. Yeah, I love, we were having a conversation the other night about sort of this interesting, juxtaposition of sort of, your show really being about Black women, centering Black women and horror, and my show centering sort of Black gay men and beauty and sort of things that don't necessarily you immediately think go together, and yet bringing those things together in really cool and interesting ways. And I think that's great. I think next year is going to be a super exciting year for us.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really looking forward to it, yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so we don't want to take too much more of your time. So right now I'm going to hop into the Facebook chat, and I'm going to see if, there's any really cool questions or comments that we might be able to address. And if you haven't already, but you've been maybe thinking about asking us a question about our work, just drop it in the comments. And I'm going to do a little scrolly scroll. Okay. Chris Law, that's so interesting. I'm curious as to whether there was a target audience in making the radio decision. Even if there isn't, I'm extremely interested in participating as an audience member. Peace and love to you both. Thank you so much, Chris, for that question, and thank you so much for the love and support. I think for me, the intended audience for me is always everyone, but I didn't want people to have to make a decision to go into the theater or not go into the theater. I wanted to avoid people who want to support me and want to support us in our work. I wanted to avoid that decision making for them. It's a very serious decision, as we all know. So I wanted to make sure that people can get the story and get the play any way that they can. And for me, I think radio is a really interesting way to do that. Right now, I'm in the process of trying to strike partnerships. There's some really cool online radio stations in DC. For example, the Line Hotel, which broadcasts outside within the Line Hotel in Adams Morgan. Eaton Hotel also has an online radio station, and they do really amazing programming there. And of course, we have a lot of really great supportive local radio stations as well that I would love to start conversations with, and how we can kind of broadcast out, and then, really through some further introspection, see like which radio station would be a great audience, for something like this. But really, I want everyone to listen to it. I think that the themes are really worth exploring, especially in this day and age where we've had to sit at home and kind of look at ourselves in a way that we may not have before. And so, yeah, all eyes on it, or all ears on it, rather. Thank you again for your question. My mind is way too active. Oh, Tanisha says, my mind is way too active for horror. I had to psych myself up for Lovecraft Country. I feel you. I love horror. I'm like the only person in my friend group who can watch a scary movie. It's fine. Thank you, Farah, for dropping the link to the horror noir documentary. Okay. Well, if that is it, did you have any lasting thoughts, Jared, or?
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone, of course, for joining us today. I'm really glad that we had this opportunity to check in with each other and with everyone about our work. And if you'd like to connect with us about our work, you can reach us at connect@thewelders.org and visit our website at thewelders.org. And again, if you'd like to donate, click the link in the comments. And we will also be adding this recording to our YouTube channel in the next couple of days. So feel free to watch it again or share it with others. And again, thank you all so much for joining us. I hope everyone has a great day.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.